Hello and welcome to Bust or Trust, a kids' mystery podcast. I'm Tiernan.
And I'm Athena. Bust or Trust is the podcast where we unravel the world's greatest mysteries with help from you, our chief detectives.
We present all the best evidence and then ask you to decide. Which team are you on?
Are you a myth buster like me?
Or are you a myth truster like me? We look into all sorts of strange stories from around the world. No mystery is too big for us. Like, do you eat or drink soup?
You definitely eat soup because it can have chunky bits.
Are you sure? But then why can you get soup in a cup?
Good point. But you can also get cake in a cup.
Can you drink cake? I would like to drink cake. Anyway, we tell you at the end of the show just how to get in touch so you can let us know if you're on Team Buster or the best one, Team Truster.
So, chief detectives, get ready to take notes and start putting together your case while we have a quick word with the grown-ups.
Well, hello there, grown-ups. Did you know that we depend on your generosity and support to keep making Bust or Trust?
If you subscribe and support Bust or Trust on Patreon or Apple Podcasts, you'll get access to lots of lovely extras like weekly subscriber bonus episodes with extra evidence, ad-free listening and early access to all our episodes. More to come soon.
To support Bust or Trust, just click subscribe in Apple Podcasts or visit patreon.com/Bust or Trust podcast. Or for more information, visit our website at bustortrust.com.
The case.
Ow! What did you swat me in the face with a glove for?
Tiernan, I challenge you to a duel.
A duel? What, like a gem or a diamond? That sounds expensive.
No, a duel. You know, a battle between the two of us. Only a spoiled sport would refuse. Are you a spoiled sport?
Yes, I am.
I didn't hear that. Pick your weapon. I've already got mine, this Mega Turbo Super Soaker 7000.
Where did you get that from? I guess I'll throw, this pillow.
Now walk 40 paces, then turn, then fire.
What? 40 paces? But this room is very small. Is this 40?
Fire!
I am so...
Hooray, I win. Hopefully now you all feel prepared for this week's case of the field of 40 footsteps.
All I feel prepared for is to wrap myself in a lot of snuggly towels. I'm not sure I needed to be soaked to tell the chief detectives about the place where the footsteps of a legendary duel can still be seen.
Or can't be seen. Here, take this towel.
That's a tiny flannel.
Shh, loser. Dry off while I explain what I know to the chief detectives. In the 17th and 18th centuries, Montague Fields in the centre of London was a place duellists went to fight. These were fields behind the large stately home known as Montague House, a place that is now where you'll find the famous British Museum. A duel is a type of combat between two people, and it was a method often used to settle a problem, mainly by one person losing the fight and dying.
In May of 1685, James Scott, the first Duke of Monmouth, started a rebellion against the King of England, James II. As part of this movement, protesters from the West Country undertook a march all the way to London with the aim to take it over. It wasn't successful at all, and the Duke of Monmouth was beheaded for treason.
During what is known as the Monmouth Rebellion, two brothers were said to have fought on Montague Fields. Each had taken a different side in the battle, one with the Duke of Monmouth and the other with James II. To settle it, they had a duel, where both of them died and the impressions of their footsteps remained in the field for many years.
Legend had it that no grass would ever grow over them, and the footsteps became a big tourist attraction later in the 18th century. And to this day, no one is sure if it existed or quite where the footsteps were. Until now.
Oh, ready to lose again, are we? I think Team Buster will prove that this fun tale is just that, and the field of 40 footsteps doesn't really exist.
Well, it's up to the chief detectives to decide who the winner of the real duel between Busters and Trusters is. Time for the first piece of evidence.
First piece of evidence.
Before the evidence, though, it's important that you know there is another version of the tale of the field of 40 footsteps too. In this version, no one is quite sure when it took place, but the two brothers were fighting for the hand of a lady.
Just her hand? That's weird.
No, it means they were fighting for her affection because they both really fancied her. In this story, the lady sat on a bank watching them fight, and some say the grass where she sat also didn't grow. I needed to explain that because the first piece of evidence is the account of the poet Robert Southey from the late 18th century. He went to look for the brothers' steps after his friend's mother had insisted that she'd seen the site dug up, but the steps still reappeared after. Southey wrote, "We sought for near half an hour in vain. We could find no steps at all within a quarter of a mile, no nor half a mile of Montague House. We were almost out of hope when an honest man who was at work directed us to the next ground adjoining to a pond. There we found what we sought about 3/4 of a mile north of Montague House and about 500 yards east of Tottenham Court Road. They are of the size of a large human foot, about 3 inches deep, and lie nearly from north-east to south-west. We counted only 76, but we were not exact in counting. The place where one or both the brothers are supposed to have fallen is still bare of grass. The labourer also showed us the bank where the wretched woman sat to see the combat."
So, Southey initially claimed to have found the location of the 40 footsteps, but then he mentions there are 76 footsteps. That's an extra 36 footsteps. How did he know he hadn't found the field of 76 footsteps?
Well, Southey said there were more footsteps because of God's displeasure at the horrid sin of duelling.
What does that mean?
I'm not sure, but I think it means that he believed that God didn't like duelling so much that he added even more patches to the field to show it. But Southey did also mention the patch where the woman watching must have sat, so it really sounds like he found the right field, and it was just north of Montague House and east of Tottenham Court Road, a well-known road in central London.
OK, but other accounts of finding the fields are pretty different. Take this from the writer Joseph Moser, who went to find them in 1800.
Went to the field at the back of Montague House and there saw for the last time the 40 footsteps. The building materials are there ready to cover them from the sight of man. I counted more than 40, but they might be the footprints of the workmen.
He also found more than 40 footsteps, but thought they could be from workmen in the area, particularly after the winter when their big boots would have made lasting imprints in the mud and would have stopped the grass from growing. So, there'd be no way to know which, if any, were the original 40.
Maybe it was 40 footsteps each. Actually a field of 80 footsteps. Maybe they had to do 40 before turning around. Either way, it sounds like it definitely existed, and piece of evidence number 2 takes even more steps towards that theory.
Second piece of evidence.
The second piece of evidence is that the field of 40 footsteps had to exist, as it inspired novels and plays all about it. In 1828, Jane and Anna Marie Porter wrote the book The Field of 40 Footsteps, which was a romance in 3 volumes.
A romance? It doesn't sound very romantic having to sit on a muddy hill watching 2 brothers fight. How did they get 3 volumes out of that?
I really don't know, but then in 1830 and 1850, they wrote plays about it. And I wish we could still find excerpts from them, as I bet they are brilliant. I'm not even sure how someone would walk 40 steps on a stage without accidentally going backstage and then the audience wouldn't see anything that was going on.
Sounds like a great play to me. I'd watch a show where the 2 main actors walk off and just shout a lot from behind the curtain. But just because people have written about the field of 40 footsteps, it doesn't make it any more likely to have existed. It could be an urban legend. That's when an interesting story is passed from person to person as though it's true, but it never was. There's every chance these writers were told the rumours about the field and it inspired them to create their own stories. I mean, how else do you get 3 volumes about having to sit in the field whilst 2 siblings squabble?
I agree. It doesn't sound like the best story, but that book is long out of print now, so for all we know, in between every step a dragon appeared or they got chased by werewolves. It could be amazing. And I understand what you mean about it being an urban legend, but piece of evidence number 3 stamps down on that possibility.
Third piece of evidence.
The third piece of evidence is that the footsteps can still be seen. In 2012, a London blogger found them in Tavistock Square, an area of gardens just north of Montague House, aka the British Museum. They took pictures and it does look like there are several patches where the grass doesn't grow, in a line as though someone had walked that path. See? The field of 40 footsteps is real.
Except that isn't where some people say the field was. If you take the directions of Robert Southey, the poet, then the field is meant to be several streets away near Euston train station. But an anonymous account from the 19th century says the site was at the Baptist Chapel much nearer Montague House, which has now been built over, so you wouldn't see any footsteps. And then another account says it's to the west of that. Either way, the whole area is currently being developed and built over, so it'll be very hard to find specific patches where grass wasn't growing.
But the blogger has taken pictures in Tavistock Square showing the patches in the grass, so it must be there.
Other things can cause grass not to grow, like tree roots or shady conditions, or even lots of other people stomping all over it every lunchtime in busy central London. There is no way you can say those are the footprints of two dueling brothers from over 300 years ago.
I wish we knew. I will tell you what I do know for sure, though.
What's that?
Just how good a Field of 40 Footsteps blockbuster film would be.
Coming soon.
So this is how we're deciding it.
It's the only way, bro, unless you're too chicken to duel. Bro.
I would walk 80 steps to win this fight. Let the duel begin. Whatever happens, I love you. Oh.
No, whatever happens, I love you.
I don't love either of you. Silly men doing duels.
Whatever happens, I love eating frogs.
8, 9, 10 steps. Soon I will defeat you.
11, 12, what comes next? Oh yes, 14 steps. No, I will defeat you, brother.
You can't even count. You're an idiot.
Oh yeah? Would an idiot go into battle with Bigfoot as his weapon? Hello, everyone.
Bigfoot with a small catapult? You wouldn't dare, but you will never defeat.
Oh, merry Jule time. Father Christmas riding a dragon? Brother, you are the worst and must be stopped.
2 brothers, 1 jewel, 1 field, 1 lady, 1 whoever this is,
I smell like weasels.
and 40 steps.
38, 39.
67, 40. Oh.
Field of 40 Steps, the movie, to a cinema near you. No, wait, maybe it's that place down the street to the left. Oh no, it could be that chapel to the north of the bit where the cinema used to be, but now that's all built over. Nobody's.
Yeah, that sounds like my kind of film.
Yeah, I think I'll wait till it goes to streaming.
That'll be the sequel, I reckon. Stream of 40 splashes. I can see it now.
Oh, please don't. What I would like to hear about, though, is what the chief detectives have worked out, because it's time to decide, does the Field of 40 Footsteps exist, or are we all going down the wrong path with this story?
It's time to walk back over the evidence.
Evidence recap.
The first piece of evidence is the accounts about finding the Field of 40 Footsteps. The poet Robert Southey wrote in the late 18th century that he found it near Montague House, where it was said to be, and he saw the footprint patches where grass no longer grew.
Except Southey said there were 76 steps, not 40, and many accounts seem to have different numbers of the footprints they found. A writer named Joseph Moser suspected the prints he saw were actually from workers who were doing the building work there, and not from dueling brothers over 100 years before.
The second piece of evidence is that the field inspired books and plays, which means it must have existed to inspire them.
But it's more likely the writers heard the urban legend in passing. An urban legend is a tale that's passed around as though it's true, but there's actually no evidence for it.
The final piece of evidence is a London blogger in 2012 who found the field in Tavistock Square in central London and found the footprints in it too.
Except no one has ever said for sure it was in Tavistock Square, and many accounts about the field give different locations for it, all of which are currently being built on, so it's tricky to see the footprints too. Plus, tree roots or shade can cause patches in grass as well.
So now we're handing it over to you, Chief Detectives.
What do you think? Are you a Field of 40 Footsteps mythbuster?
Or a Field of 40 Footsteps myth truster? Get in touch and let us know your thoughts. And most importantly, which side you're on. You know Team Truster is stepping up to this one.
Actually, anywhere but Team Buster is completely out of step on this case. Send us your voice notes with an explanation of why you're a myth truster or myth buster when it comes to the Field of 40 Footsteps.
All you have to do is ask your grown-ups to help you email us your voice notes or thoughts to hello@bustortrust.com.
Tell us your name, age, what you think all the evidence means. And please make sure your grown-ups give us permission to use your voice notes or emails in our next episode.
You can also send us a question on Spotify Q&A, but please get permission from your parents and don't include any personal details so we can publish them safely. We won't always be able to use all of them.
But we do love to hear them, and here are some thoughts from you lot, our chief detectives, on the last few episodes.
So, my name is Oscar, and I'm 5 years old. I'm Team Truster on Scarbray is abandoned, and I think that because Team Buster was like Team Truster, and I feel like Team Buster was way more accurate because it wouldn't be accurate if they just left their home for no reason. It would be accurate if they left their home because it was gonna get broken down.
So Oscar must be a merchild who lives in the sea.
Hang on, are you saying you believe in merchildren?
I might have to. He was splashing around in there.
I think, Athena, that he's from, or he lives in the lost city of Atlantis, you see. Or perhaps even he's from the part of Skara that was washed away by the sea.
Or he was in the bathtub.
Or he was in the bathtub. But it's nice to know that our listeners keep clean and hygienic. Thanks, Oscar. Thank you so much for listening to the show and, of course, for listening to all of the evidence.
Sarah commented on our Monkey Man episode. I'm a total buster on this one. Why would the monkey attack if he had no reason to? Also, if it looked very different to each person, you can't really think that it exists. Total buster.
Wow. Well, maybe he just looked very different to each person because he was a master of disguise, a monkey master of disguise.
You talked yourself out of your own evidence.
Rinky has messaged about our episode on the cursed village of Kuldara, and they say, Team Buster, because some kids could have made the handprints. People could have moved without having anyone know about it. By the way, I know that place, even though I was born in Mumbai, Bombay. Wow, so they know the place. Hang on a second, Rinky. You weren't one of the kids making handprints, were you? Dun, dun, dun.
Ellie gave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Amazing podcast. I absolutely love Bust or Trust. I love all the mysteries and tales. I especially like deciding if I'm a mythbuster or truster. I would highly recommend this to anyone who likes mysteries, adventures and non-fiction. Keep up the scary myths as well. Well, I don't know why she likes deciding if she's a truster or buster, because she should be a buster, right? But everything else is great. I agree with everything else she says.
I think that Ellie obviously needs to sometimes sit there and think, am I a buster? No, of course not, because it would be ridiculous to be a buster in this case when it's definitely a truster. That's what it must be. Thank you so much for the lovely review, Ellie.
What brilliant comments. We make a great team.
They are absolutely great, our chief detectives. And if you enjoyed the show, please follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify or Amazon Music, or wherever you listen to your podcasts for more great episodes. We love to hear what you think, so please do rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It helps more detectives find, bust or trust. And of course, we'll read out some of the reviews on the show.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time for more Bust or Trust.
OK, Athena, time for a rematch.
Are you sure? You don't think you're going to win a match with that inflatable swimming pool ring, are you? And why are you wearing shorts, flippers and a snorkel?
Oh no, you'll see.
You asked for it.
Woohoo! Indoor pool party! If you can't beat them, join them, right?
Touche, Tiernan. Touche.